Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about authority and what that means in terms of research sources. We'll start by defining authority. Typically, when we discuss authority, we're thinking about control, power, influence. If we imagine a hierarchy, authority tends to point to those who are at the top of the hierarchy. So what does this mean when we start to think about research sources? One of the best ways to think about this is to think about certain sources being authoritative. Authoritative sources tend to be more reliable. The creator of the source has some type of expertise. If we revisit ideas from our previous class regarding popular and scholarly sources, it can be tempting to frame this as scholarly sources have authority and other sources do not. However, we want to try to resist this temptation. Historically, access to education and scholarship have been influenced by factors that include gender, race, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status. Therefore, to say only scholarly sources have authority risks silencing the voices and perspectives of many different groups. For librarians who teach information literacy, we have a framework to shape our instruction, and one frame is that authority is constructed and contextual. Let's briefly break this down. We say that authority is constructed because authority is created by specific groups and people. Here, decisions are made as to who is included and who isn't included. For example, if we're going to say that we are only going to accept the authority of people who have PhDs, we're constructing a category of people, those with PhDs, who have authority and excluding others who do not meet that criterion. The second part is that authority is contextual. No one is an authority on all topics, but certain people will be authorities in specific fields or under specific circumstances. No one can cover everything because nobody knows everything. So we really want to think about this frame that authority is constructed and contextual as we think about types of information and what we'll be using in our research. Let's take a look at authority in action. Three major types of authority are personal experience, societal position, and subject specialty, which includes education and professional experiences. Starting with personal experiences, this category includes expertise one gets as a member of a specific community, which grants the authority to provide insight into that community. It also includes people who have personally experienced or witnessed something. One great example of this authority is Jane Goodall, who became an expert on chimpanzees by working with them rather than by studying them in a classroom, although she did later get her PhD. Authority that comes from societal position includes leaders of movements like Martin Luther King Jr. This also includes politicians like Senator Jack Reed or other community leaders. This type of authority emerges from positions of leadership within the community. People in these positions often have specific insights and the authority to share them with others. And then finally, we have authority that comes from subject specialty, which can include education and other professional experiences. Many people in this category will have both education and professional experiences that provide authority, like a nurse who has studied nursing in college and then worked in the field to get firsthand professional experience. If you're working a retail job during college, that's also a type of authority. You have the authority to converse about brands and current trends and fashions. And finally, we have a traditional example of this type of authority, a professor who has advanced degrees as well as experiences with research and publishing. These are all different types of authority that you want to think about when you're seeking information. Of course, the big question is what type of authority is best? And a question like this is always a trick question because it depends. The type of authority you seek is dependent on your information needs. It depends on your research topic, who will be considered an authority on your topic. It depends on your audience. If you're writing something for your professor or your peers in your class, you'd probably look to the authority of a subject specialist, while you might look to the authority of journalists or first-hand accounts if you want to share something with a family member or friend. Finally, it depends on your assignment. Your assignment might require specific types of authority, so the answer to this question will always depend on the context of your information needs. Just to wrap up, in this presentation, we've talked about why the information chain matters. We've walked through the different stages of the information chain and talked about the characteristics of each stage. And finally, we've talked about the different types of authority and how the context of your information need will shape the authority you seek.